Hello, Renee Flamont here. Minnie's licking the air. Is it good air? Good girl. She just drank. She's not there. She licks the air. I mean, her beard's not even wet. She just licks the air. That's what she does, my little baby doll. Get that air. God bless you. Renee Flamont here, you guys. The last couple of videos got me to thinking of how on the topic of just how ill the narcissist is and just how little they ever think is wrong with them. The last two videos, we got a lot into what the narcissist is doing to us and how we just go about our business and accept it anyway. They don't think there's anything wrong with what they're doing, especially when our behavior shows them, demonstrates to them that we accept what they're doing. Can't be that bad. She didn't leave. Stuff like this. I found it funny once I started to think of this whole concept about how they really don't think anything is wrong with them. And I'm going to break it down for you exactly why and to what magnitude I chuckled when it's not even possible that you cannot see that there's something wrong with you, yet you don't see it. The math doesn't add up. You have to see something's wrong with you. And I'm going to tell you how. They have to, yet they don't. Okay? Oftentimes, I have seen, with any toxic person, narcissist included, of course, is in that, but any toxic person, they have diagnoses that they've received, right, throughout life, or claim to have received. Oddly, they're usually dysfunctions, and we'll talk more about this in a second, that get them attention, but conveniently don't really affect their present day life. It's something they used to have and they're dealing with now. It gives them material to gain sympathy and for those that sincerely have any of the following that I mention, I wish you good health. And I'm not talking about somebody like that. There are, however, that's hard to say, endless people who pretend to have a diagnosis. It's a thing. We all know people that have done it. Or we all know people that everything is wrong with them. Everything is wrong with them. One person in particular that I know, okay, as an adult, and they're a peripheral narcissist. ADHD. They had anorexia once. I know somebody else. Oh, and they've tried suicide several times. I'm not minimizing it if that really was an attempt. By my tone, it sounds like I am, and I would never. But I just feel like a lot of these from this person are for attention. Another person that I know is the bipolar and the depression. And now they learned the word body dysmorphia. So they threw that in there. These are very serious things that people suffer gravely over. Gravely. It's not a light thing to say, I have body dysmorphia, or I have anorexia, or you know what I mean? These are very serious illnesses that people suffer from. And I find it extremely interesting, here's the part that made me laugh, that someone can possess many of these, as is in one or two or three people that I know, they have several of these kinds of things, yet they don't regard themselves as someone that may need help professionally, or that they don't regard themselves that they may have lingering psychological issues, or that they may suffer from some form of mental illness or dysfunction as a result of having all of these disorders. I find it curious that a person selling themselves as perfectly well-adjusted without any self-awareness as to something that could be wrong with them could also tout that they have had an eating disorder, was suicidal, ADHD, everything under the sun. you don't think you don't think for 1 millisecond that you could have something deeper wrong with you still? Right into adulthood? I mean, because these are big things you're naming that you have. Big things. Not saying you can't get over them. I've known plenty of people to deal and get over all of the ones I just mentioned. Or learn to deal with. Some of them are chronic, right? They're with you forever. I've learned people to deal with those. They don't mention them every time you talk to them. They don't wear it like a badge. These toxic people, especially narcissists, to gain sympathy, they're going to let you know everything they have. And many of these, being that they're attention-seeking self-diagnoses, even if they get managed to told it by a doctor, but the attention-seeking part of it is the part that strikes me as, oh, of course. Because it does make any of the ones I just mentioned, you will get generally a sympathetic reaction. Somebody asking you, but are you okay? They're going to ask you, do you want to talk about it? What are you doing then? You're talking to the narcissist about the narcissist. Or the toxic person. Doesn't even have to be a narcissist, right? But we deal with narcissism here, so that's my mind today on that. So now you're talking to them, you're paying them mind, the subject is on them. How much material can I get out of this? I just don't think it's a great way to be, that you walk through life and every person you meet knows every single thing that you've ever had wrong with you. I think some things can stay in your teenage years. You meet a close person, maybe you share things, but this made up stuff, and I've seen it done. And let me just tell you something. It's not hard, and I mentioned this before, to get told these kinds of disorders, because you can Google symptoms, relay those to your doctor, and get your diagnosis. There's not a blood test for bipolar. There's not a blood test for, I don't think, any of the things that I just mentioned. And I've seen people say that they've made several suicide attempts. I don't have to say one word about that, do I? That sentence speaks alone. I've made several suicide attempts. So you didn't really want to, or did you just make it? And I'm not trying to say, because there are people who do that and then take the final step. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. I don't want anyone feeling that way. I've seen people say that, and I know. You say, well, you don't know. No, but I know the person saying it. I know the drama they like. I know the attention they like from these kinds of things. And I know the other diseases they've said that they've had. Serious ones, too, that would require a blood test, that they didn't even have. It gets really messy. And what, again, I find so fun, no one's concerned with actually breaking down the reasons for this slew of past issues. So what? You just got over everything into your adulthood? With a tiny bit of therapy that you also talked about you had? I was in therapy. Okay, you did everything. So you're good now? So as an adult with narcissistic personality disorder, you of course see nothing wrong with you. But what about all this evidence? You've given me all this evidence that you have this, and this. And it just what? It just left? Oh, I see. You're better. You're all better? No. No, you're not. I still hear you hanging on to every diagnosis you can in order to excuse your behavior in any capacity where you need an excuse. But you don't think the perpetual harm causing behaviors you exhibit into adulthood could be symptoms of something bigger wrong with you now? Like you've had things wrong with you according to you, yet you're not open to seeing that there's something gravely wrong with you now? Maybe it's an effect of what you went through, all those things. Maybe you did have all those things. Maybe all those things led you here. And if you think you can have all those things and not land in a place of dysfunction or with more work to do, then you're crazy, because we all have endless work to do. I still do work. I've been doing work for 30 years. It doesn't stop. Self-improvement doesn't stop. Evolution doesn't stop. And you're exhibiting harmful behaviors towards human beings that don't deserve it. But you don't see that as illness, so there's nothing wrong with you. But you had all this wrong with you, but that doesn't really affect your life now. It's easy to list these things. I can still function. Let me make a joke about ADHD. Oh yeah, I'm like a squirrel. Something happens and I'm like this and I don't pay attention and yeah, whatever. Funny, funny, funny. People with these disorders don't make jokes about them either. Well, maybe they make a self-deprecating joke. I shouldn't say that. But not in the entertaining, let me have the floor way that you do. People don't have 6 minutes at the ready over the... It's absolutely alarming and shocking to me that they can exist and actually try to state and believe that there's no fault of theirs, no responsibility, no blame, no conscience. It's all us. It's all you. I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my behavior towards you. Yet you list 7 things off the top of your head that are wrong with you, that are pretty grave, serious things. You're not even open to that. Maybe your list would have led you to ill behavior. You're not open to that. Like, see, now I, a non-disordered person, would say, and I have, that's why I've been working on myself for 30 years. Oh, I can see that would have affected me now. Let me dissect that. Get out the whiteboard. Write it all down. Journal. Read things. Look into it. Figure out why. How can I help myself? Educate and empower. Educate and empower. They just think they're educated and empowered just the way they are. It's so pompous. It's so and it doesn't even, the math doesn't add up. You had all this wrong with you. These are perpetual things. They don't just leave a person. Yet now you sit, you're just fine. You got no effects, nothing. You're just good. They left in the night. Just left you. Oh, all right. So the other part that kills me is that families ignore. As long as the, misbehaved person, the troubled person, is now acting at least to a bare minimum decent by societal standards, well, let's just not bother them. They're doing better. As long as they're happy. Don't rock the boat. Oh, let it go. The past is the past. Meanwhile, nobody cares about the actual symptoms. Like, I care. I'm like, well, what is wrong with the person? You don't care then? Let's not rock the boat. Who cares? And I'm looking at the disordered person and thinking, but the effects that they will feel the ill effects of their own disorder for the rest of their life. So nobody's concerned with this person when they get older. I've had this conversation with people around me. You're not worried about where they're going to land in life? You're not concerned with the symptoms that made them this way, that made them behave this way? You're not concerned with figuring out or letting them try to look at what's wrong with them? Let it go. And you know what? Saves me time, because we know they can't change or see at all. But I'm shocked that families don't at least go through the motions of trying to make the person see. If my daughter behaved this way, I would absolutely sit down with her for a minimum of 12 hours straight until we got to the bottom of why she felt the need that she could do that. I don't care if it was like, well, you know what? If she found, I feel entitled to behave that way. I don't know what, right? That's what a narcissist answer would be. But they won't answer you that way. But I'm shocked that families ignore it like they do. And I know you are too, because we've talked about it. Right, men? A storm is coming. Did it suddenly get dark? So she hears it. If I ever can learn how to do more than one thing at a time, I'll learn to turn it around, and you can see how the gray black sky just rolled in. But you guys, I want you to give this some thought, because when I think about how they truly don't think there's anything wrong with them, it really is comical, because it doesn't even make sense. If you know anybody with this disorder, think about the attention-seeking kinds of things that they've said that they have. And so again, but as an adult, you're not even open to hearing you might have behavioral issues or treatment issues. It's not even say you have the disorder. Not even trying to convince you have a disorder. You don't see that treating someone this, and this way, to use the comment we referred to Monday and Wednesday's video from Jahira, you don't think those ways are ill? You don't think that might, she didn't do anything to you to receive that treatment. So you don't think that that imbalance shows that you might have something wrong with you? You don't see that at all. There's nothing wrong with your behavior. And I don't care what anybody did. Nobody deserves the treatment that she so eloquently listed. And I thank you again, Jahira. So eloquent, the comment to video 518. Withdrawal from a narcissist is brutal. If you want to read the comment, Jahira eloquently described this disorder in one comment without even knowing. And we're all with her, and we hope she's doing well. But the narcissist will never think anything is wrong with them, and it kills me. It is black and white evidence. You could have, it doesn't matter. And I find that pompousness, that audacity, that, I find it deplorable. And you should too. And I want you to recognize it. I want you to recognize it. They really, really will never, ever see the wrong in how they treat us. They will see that you did something, I did something to deserve that. Or I didn't do enough, so I got that. Or I should have done more here, and then they wouldn't have acted that way. Nobody deserves to be mistreated the way a narcissist treats another human being. Being a partner, family, friend, business partner, it doesn't matter. Nobody deserves it. I don't care. If they're not happy, if say you are mistreating someone, if they're not happy with that, they could leave you. They don't have to mistreat you. Right? So I don't even want a narcissist like, oh, well, maybe they mistreated me. Well, then leave them. You got to mistreat them back? What are we in, tit for tat? This is tennis? Oh, we're 8 years old, we're throwing rocks at each other? You never deserve the ill treatment of a narcissist. I don't care what the circumstances are. You guys have a good weekend. Thank you for watching. Man, look and say have a good weekend. I'll see you guys Monday.